lived in California, the East San Francisco Bay Area, 2015 to 2019, inclusive. So August 2015 to October 2019. And as part of my time there, in 2016, 2017, 2018, I solo hosted trick-or-treaters for Halloween. In 2015, I did not host trick-or-treaters because I was living in a bottom unit that had a front door that faced a parking away from the street. So the front door of the house was up above on the upper floor of the story of the house and towards the street. So people did not come down trick-or-treating, and nor did I expect them to. So there was alignment there. And so I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, and that was a number of years ago. Today is Saturday, 11 July 2026 AD, and I live in this room. So if somebody were to, and so I also don't have a front door currently that people, can come off the street and just knock. No, that's my front door right there. And so, if like for a little bit of perspective, if I had stuff somewhere, and somebody's like, I have a bunch of your stuff, or like a bunch of your boxes. Do you want to do something with them? You mean, and like move them in my residence, move them in my room. Right, this is technically all of the space I have. Right, so I don't have a house somewhere. I don't have multiple houses. That kind of stuff. To move stuff. So that person might not have very good spatial awareness. This is kind of it. You're talking about boxes and bins and stuff. I'm a little bit confined currently. I haven't ever had a house of my own. I've always wanted to take my stuff with me, if I had a house of my own. So there's no change in that. So that's my current. And then reflecting backwards, 2016, 2017, 2018, I was living in a house, and it was 3 stories, and the bottom story was parking, and then there was units on the second and third story. And there was some like stairs up to the top where I was living. And I was like, compared to where I was living in 2015. So I was living in 2015 Halloween, I was in Berkeley, California. And then 2016, 2017, 2018, I was in Albany, California. And I actually drove back to Washington State on Halloween 2019 from Albany, California. In the East Bay Area, East San Francisco Bay Area, from where I was living out in Albany, back to Washington State. And so for that one, I was the trick-or-treater here at this house, not at this front door, but at the front door of the house. So there's context there. And so 2016, I was like, I don't, there may or may not be trick-or-treaters. I don't know, compared to last year where it was kind of like on the back side of the house, and there was a front door, and like it was facing the carport and the parking areas. I was like, there was stairs up to the front door and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I bought a bunch of candy, and then there weren't any trick-or-treaters, but I was ready, and so I got to eat the candy. And then the next 2 years, 2017, 2018, I did fewer items in 2017, and then I did like 1 bag or 2 bags in 2018. So I learned to like not set expectations, but also be like prepared, and understanding that like because somebody could just come up. There's a front door, there's stairways, that kind of stuff. So I prepared each day. So I solo hosted. We just didn't have any trick-or-treaters. But it was solo hosting 4 trick-or-treaters on Halloween. And so it was fun. And I still enjoyed it. And I was like, and in some ways I think it was a little bit of like a great experience. And I got to see, am I really committed to the holiday? Am I really committed to being prepared and like hosting trick-or-treaters? Should they knock at the door? I was like, yes. But to actually like, that there was youthfulness in like, that I actually enjoyed it. That it was kind of a cool one to find out about myself. I was like, no, I do enjoy this. So even without anybody coming, to getting prepared and being ready and being present, right? Actually making a commitment to being there on the evening of Halloween, being present instead of going out myself, right? So there's the candy aspect, but then also there's the how I'm presenting myself, my behavior, my presence in the living space, that kind of stuff. So it was great for my hosting developing. And I hosted Thanksgiving in 2018, and I was like, this may have contributed, because it was not foreign to me of treating the space as being welcoming to people who didn't live there, whether or not they showed up. So there we go. That's a little bit of a reflection.